Honestly, going back and reading those chapters about Kaido and Yamato, it hits a bit differently once we know how old he is. Well, not how old he is, that he's a full-grown man or a full-grown boy, we're not quite sure yet, and that he's decently powerful. And decently powerful is kind of lowballing, but I'm good with that for now. We'll get into that a bit more later, but it hits a bit differently, knowing Kaido is asking for his son, saying that he should attend the ceremony, and that he's disappeared. And this kind of started the whole conversation about Yamato. Of course, we didn't know his name as yet, but knowing Kaido had a son, that was major news. Whenever one of these strongest pirates reveals that he has a son, everyone's going to be talking about it. So from there, we got some more about Yamato, right? We found out that he had disappeared and that Kaido was looking for him. However, there was more to this because the Flying Six got involved, and the Flying Six, based off their reaction, especially Ulti's, who was as brash as they come, made it clear that something was not right, either with Kaido or his son or both. That relationship was off, because Ulti said, or basically the Flying Six implied, whenever they're summoned, it's a major issue, and the issue normally revolves around Kaido's son, Yamato. And that leads to more questions, like why is it so difficult? One of the questions was, is Kaido's son dead? Is Kaido delusional? Is Yamato his biological son, or someone he took in? I mean, and that question honestly isn't answered yet. And it probably got even more murky when Black Maria said it would be a formidable task to capture him. And we saw a small shadow behind Jinbei and Robin, so then speculation then turned to maybe he's as young as Momonosuke. That's why Kaido had those weird looks and those weird reactions anytime Momonosuke was around. That's probably why Kaido didn't kill Momonosuke when he had the chance. Momonosuke reminded him of his son. And now it's a bit more clear. And also in the midst of everything that was going on, Kaido had an announcement. Big Mom is in Wano. And so therefore, and as stated by Kaido, this announcement had specifically to do with Yamato. We're not sure exactly what it was, but a lot of people were speculating that maybe Kaido was going to announce a marriage. I mean, the alliance was pretty much a known thing at that point, but a marriage would be making things official. Of course, with Big Mom, she's an expert on that topic, but Kaido also said that if he led with that, it would cause some confusion. Would a marriage between Big Mom and Kaido cause confusion? Even though we know they're in an alliance, it would just be a way to solidify the alliance. Why would this cause confusion? Obviously, there are things we don't know, but all of this revolved around Yamato. First off, Yamato and what he did in chapter 983, it's impressive. And I'm not going to try to downplay Luffy here just to make Yamato look better, but we have to really dissect what Yamato did. Not saying Ulti pushed Luffy to Gear 4th, because Luffy wasn't just fighting Ulti, he was fighting Ulti, he was fighting Page 1, and he was surrounded. So for Luffy, going to Gear 4th, probably the best option, because even if he runs out of haki or uses up some haki, he could probably recover by the time he gets to someone else. But the priority at that point was to get rid of Page 1 and Ulti. Mostly Ulti, because she was putting in work. Not saying she got a lot of hits in on Luffy, but she was impressive. So for Luffy going Gear 4th, that's something he should do, because one of the things mentioned was not taking a lot of damage. Now with that being said, the point still stands, Ulti and Page 1 were impressive enough to force Luffy to use Gear 4th, right? Not saying they would hang with Gear 4th or anything like that, they were competent enough. Now, in the midst of this, Yamato comes in, uses Thunder Bagua, and he one-shots Ulti. Thunder Bagua, as we know, is a devastating attack. Kaido used it on Luffy, and Luffy was out for the count. Now, I wonder if we're going to get more specifics on Thunder Bagua and how it works exactly, like why it's so devastating. Is it incorporating Ryo? Because then it would make a lot of sense why Luffy getting hit point blank with that attack, why he was down for the count. However, Yamato did that to Ulti, and she was done. A Thunder Bagua, I'm assuming, is probably Yamato's ultimate attack, right? That's probably in comparison to Luffy Kong Gun or King Kong Gun. I'm not going to say definitely a King Kong Gun because he could have something else, but I'm going to assume that's one of his best attacks, right? So for Luffy, I'm assuming here, probably the equivalent to a Gear 4th Kong Gun or a King Kong Gun. And that's what he used on Ulti. So in that case, not trying to put Yamato on Luffy level, but I'm comfortable with placing him at least as a member of the Flying Six. Like if he was trying to actively be a part of his dad's organization, which I guess I don't know enough about, but based on the context clues, if he was actually trying to be a part of the organization, he would probably be a Flying Six member, around there. That's my safe bet for now, but you could go higher. And for me, I'm assuming Kaido would want his son to be a major part of his organization. Of course, that is his heir apparent. Why would you not want him to be there? You felt that enough to teach him the Thunder Bagua, so I would imagine this entire debacle is taking its toll on Kaido. What I mean is, Kaido was probably grooming his son to take over, to be the next in line, to be a commander, but his son, based on his actions, doesn't really want to deal with Kaido. That goes back to him escaping, and what we find out in 983, him taking out a Flying Six member, and then telling Straw Hat Luffy, hey, I've been waiting for you, which leads to so many things, because what does that mean? How did you find out about this? But we'll get to that. Another thing about Yamato is the fact that he is eerily similar to Oden as far as how he's dressed. And it's brilliant irony by Oda, because Kaido, he's a dragon. His son is somebody that dresses like Kozuki Oden. And Oden, he's a fighter, Wano samurai. His son is a dragon that resembles Kaido. In a way, the Kozuki and Kaido, they're so intertwined, it's just brilliant irony. So for Kaido, I'm sure when he looks at Momonosuke and looks at his son, the ghost, or I guess in this case, the will of Oden is following him. It seems like it's something he can't escape. So that's why I believe Oden's words resonated so much. They probably still resonate today because of Kaido's son and Momonosuke and the Kozuki and everything that's going on in Wano. I'm sure Kaido can't help but think back to that moment with Oden when he was boiling, telling Kaido to get as strong as he can, as if to warn him of what to come. But for Kaido in particular, the devastation for him, because what was to come was his offspring. Some would say karma came right back around, that your prized possession, your son, your heir, resembles the man that you respected but killed. So with all that being said, that leads to more questions. Just how was Yamato influenced by Oden? How did Yamato learn anything about Oden? And I know, after chapters like these, crazy theories come out of nowhere. Some theories that I've seen so far is Yamato could actually be Oden. Oden survived the boiling oil, and therefore he came out, and he's been tricking Kaido ever since, which I don't have any idea how that would be possible. The next one is Yamato is Momonosuke from another dimension or another alternate universe, and so that's why he was waiting for Luffy, because he knows of the prophecy. The one that I'm most comfortable with is that Yamato is somebody who learned of Oden because he grew up in Wano. One thing we have to understand is that Oden's lore, Oden's legend in Wano is astronomical. Even when he was a child to when he grew up, everything he did, he's truly a legend. People are also going to mention the fact that Orochi was trying to change the history or the legend of Oden, and basically some of Oden's exploits, Orochi was taking them for himself. And we saw that towards the beginning of Wano when they were teaching about the two-sword style, and it was about Orochi, when we know a lot of those things were about Oden. But how would Yamato learn any of this? How would a younger kid, or young kid we're assuming at that time, learn anything about Oden? Well, one thing is maybe found Oden's journal. Through Oden's journal, he learned the true history of the world, Oden's travels. Maybe Oden wrote down everything that happened during that time he was dancing for Kaido and Orochi to save his people. If I'm an impressionable kid, right, a bad kid of a Yonko, and I stumble across this journal, and I learn of this great man who traveled with Roger, with Whitebeard, learned the true history of the world, came back, got swindled, and sacrificed everything, even my pride, for my people. And not even to mention how he died. Can you imagine how an impressionable kid would react to that? That's something that I'm leaning towards. He found out about Oden either through a journal or someone. Who would that someone be? People currently in Wano that know about Oden. Maybe Hitetsu got to him, and Hitetsu taught him a lot about Wano and Oden in general, and that led to what Yamato is now. What if Toki jumped forward and told this older Yamato, this son of Kaido, about what was to come? What if Toki, knowing who this kid is, this son of Kaido, took Oden's journal, the information about Oden, went to the future, and left this chess piece for people to find? What about that? Because then it's within the realm of possibility, because Toki can travel into the future. We know it was 20 years. The thing is though, Yamato's words could go back to that. For the Toki thing, more than likely I'll create a separate video for that, but there are many ways in which Yamato could have been influenced. Another major thing people talked about was Yamato and Ace. And Yamato was another character that Ace met, and Ace was so impressionable that Yamato started seeking different information, and that made him aware of Oden, etc., etc. I'm not so sure on the Ace thing. I think that's a bit of a stretch. We already have the character that Ace is tied to, bringing Yamato into the fold. It would feel like it's coming out of nowhere, but Oda could write it in, but I don't think that's the case. I mean, I like it. It's interesting, and any conversation about Ace, I'm all for it, but I don't think that's what happened at all. Also, again, that statement, I've been waiting for you, we need more context, because are you waiting for Straw Hat and Luffy in particular, or were you waiting for someone like Straw Hat Luffy, someone of prophecy? Because normally with prophecy, you don't know who you're waiting for. You have an idea of who you're waiting for. So Luffy could probably fit that description. There's so many ways in which this can be resolved. Yamato does throw a huge monkey wrench in things, but I think we have to wait for more information before we can come to a conclusion as to how Wano could end. Because the kid of Kaido, who's fairly strong, who's working with the Straw Hats, my hope for the alliance is going up. It's slowly but surely rising, with Marker showing up, Izo, a mystery person probably, now Yamato the son of Kaido. To be clear, the fall of any great organization, most great organizations, you need a mole. You need someone on the inside that can help you, tell you the weaknesses, the strength and abilities of the commanders, etc., like Capone did in Whole Cake Island. Not saying they toppled the Big Mom Pirates, but based on what they did with half a crew and a makeshift crew for the most part, they toppled the Big Mom Pirates. So in this case, Yamato, he's that light I've been waiting for, in which this is the first glimpse of hope. Well, not the first, but a major glimmer of hope for the Alliance. But guys, give me your thoughts. What do you think about all this? How do you feel about Yamato? And what are your expectations for him? Also, give me your favorite theory about Yamato and Oden's influence on him. But yeah, guys, give me your thoughts. Make sure to like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at B.D.A. Follow me on Instagram at B.D.A. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.